Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gone Legends, the place where we honor the lives and legacies of Hollywood stars and beloved icons who are no longer with us, yet continue to inspire millions around the world through their unforgettable work. You are watching this video right here on Gone Legends, where every story keeps their memory alive. Before we begin, we'd truly appreciate your support. Please like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to Gone Legends. Your encouragement helps us continue paying tribute to the legends who shaped our culture and touched our hearts. Now, let's begin this journey of remembrance.
Sly Stone, born Sylvester Stewart on March 15, 1943, in Denton, Texas, grew up in a deeply musical household. From an early age, he was drawn to instruments, learning piano, guitar, and drums with natural ease. By the time he reached his teens, it was clear he was destined to become more than just a musician. He would become a voice of a generation. In the late 1960s, Sly Stone founded Sly and the Family Stone, a band unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was one of the first major groups to feature a racially integrated lineup and both male and female performers at a time when America was still grappling with deep racial and cultural divides. Their very presence on stage was revolutionary, and their music made it unforgettable. Hits like Everyday People, Stand, and Family Affair weren't just songs. They were anthems of unity, empowerment, and social justice. With a powerful fusion of funk, soul, rock, and psychedelic energy, Sly Stone pushed music forward in ways that shaped the sound of the 1970s and beyond. His lyrics spoke directly to issues of identity, equality, and belonging, all while making people dance. Few artists have ever been able to combine joy and activism so seamlessly. Sly Stone's influence was enormous. He inspired legends like Prince, George Clinton, Stevie Wonder, and countless hip-hop artists who later sampled his groundbreaking rhythms. He redefined what a band could look like and what music could mean, transforming concerts into celebrations of togetherness. Yet, behind the brilliance, Sly Stone also faced personal struggles. Fame, pressure, and battles with addiction often overshadowed his genius. 4 years, he lived away from the spotlight, but his contributions to music never faded. He was the kind of artist whose creativity burned so brightly that even silence could not diminish his impact. On September 8, 2025, Sly Stone passed away at the age of 82. The world lost a pioneer, but his music continues to beat like a pulse through generations. His legacy is one of unity through rhythm, proving that funk was more than a sound. It was a message, a movement, and a reminder that music can provoke thought, bring joy, and heal wounds. Sly Stone will forever be remembered as a trailblazer who dared to blend styles, challenge conventions, and create a soundtrack for social change. His grooves still remind us today, we are all everyday people. Rick Derringer, born August 5, 1947, in Fort Recovery, Ohio, was a guitarist, singer, and producer whose career spanned more than 6 decades of American rock history. He passed away in 2025 at the age of 77, leaving behind a legacy that traveled across generations and musical styles. Derringer first rose to fame as a teenager with the band The McCoys, when their hit Hang On Sloopy reached #1 on the Billboard charts in 1965. Practically overnight, the young guitarist found himself in the spotlight, delivering one of the most memorable songs of the 1960s. But this was only the beginning of a career filled with reinvention. In the 1970s, Derringer launched a successful solo career, where he gave the world his signature anthem, Rock and Roll, Hoochie Coo. The song became a staple of classic rock radio and a rite of passage for guitar fans everywhere. With its fiery riffs and unforgettable energy, it cemented Derringer's reputation as a true rock craftsman, someone who could write, sing, and play with equal force. Beyond his own hits, Derringer worked with some of the biggest names in music. He collaborated with Edgar and Johnny Winter, produced albums for artists like Cyndi Lauper and Weird Al Yankovic, and contributed to sessions that stretched across blues, hard rock, and even pop. His versatility showed that great musicianship could transcend genres, proving that true artistry is not limited to one sound. Derringer's guitar work was both technically sharp and emotionally raw. His riffs stuck in your head. His solos burned with passion. Whether it was psychedelic rock of the late 1960s, the hard rock explosion of the 70s, or later collaborations in modern music, Rick Derringer always adapted without losing his signature voice. He will be remembered as more than a hitmaker. Rick Derringer was a bridge between eras, a musician who lived through the changes of rock and roll but never lost touch with the heart of the music. His legacy is written not just in the songs that still blast from radios, but in the countless players he inspired to pick up a guitar and make it speak. Rick Derringer's story reminds us that trends may fade, but real musicianship endures forever. Priscilla Marie Pointer, a distinguished actress of stage, film, and television, passed away on April 28, 2025, at the remarkable age of 100. Her life and career stand as a testament to longevity, dedication, and an unshakable love for the performing arts. Born on May 18, 1924, in New York City, Priscilla grew up surrounded by the cultural vibrancy of Broadway and Hollywood's golden age. She studied acting at the Actors Studio, developing the discipline and emotional depth that would define her career. Her journey began on the stage, where she honed her craft in Broadway productions and regional theater. The theater remained close to her heart throughout her life, shaping her approach to performance with discipline, patience, and respect for character. On television, Priscilla became a familiar presence to millions of viewers. She is best remembered for her recurring role as Rebecca Barnes Wentworth in the hit primetime drama Dallas, where her portrayal brought depth and elegance to the series. She also made memorable guest appearances on beloved shows like Murder, She Wrote, Judging Amy, and Cold Case. In film, Pointer showcased her versatility in a wide range of roles. She appeared in movies such as Carrie, 1976, directed by her son-in-law Brian De Palma, and Blue Velvet, 1986, where her subtle but striking performances added texture to some of cinema's most unforgettable works. Priscilla was also the mother of actress Amy Irving, with whom she occasionally shared the screen, creating a unique family bond within Hollywood. Her support and guidance extended far beyond her own performances, influencing the next generation of actors. What made Pointer extraordinary was not simply her longevity, but her ability to remain relevant across decades of changing Hollywood trends. She never sought the spotlight in leading roles, but instead mastered the art of the character actress. With dignity, nuance, and quiet power, she elevated every project she touched. On April 28, 2025, Priscilla Pointer passed away peacefully, closing a century-long life filled with artistry and purpose. She leaves behind not only an impressive body of work, but also a legacy of professionalism, resilience, and grace. Her story reminds us that true artistry isn't measured in fame or stardom, but in the ability to bring truth to every role, no matter the size. Priscilla Pointer will forever be remembered as an actress who gave her craft everything, and in doing so, gave audiences a gift that will last for generations. Michael Soren Madsen, the American actor, poet, and photographer, was born on September 25, 1958, in Chicago, Illinois. Known for his gritty screen presence and intense portrayals, Madsen carved out a career as one of Hollywood's most unforgettable character actors. He was not the typical leading man. Instead, he became the soul of tough, unpredictable figures who brought edge and realism to every film he touched. Madsen rose to prominence through his collaborations with director Quentin Tarantino. In Reservoir Dogs, 1992, his chilling performance as Mr. Blonde, the man behind one of cinema's most infamous scenes, etched his name permanently into film history. He continued this creative partnership with memorable roles in Kill Bill, Volume 2, 2004, and The Hateful Eight, 2015, proving his ability to dominate the screen with raw intensity and presence. But his range stretched far beyond Tarantino's world. Audiences loved him in the family favorite Free Willy, 1993, where he played the caring adoptive father, revealing a softer side of his talent. He appeared in The Natural, 1984, Donnie Brasco, 1997, and countless other films across genres, showing that whether he was playing a gangster, a cowboy, or a father figure, Michael Madsen always brought depth, unpredictability, and authenticity to his characters. Over the course of his career, Madsen appeared in over 200 films and television projects, a testament to his dedication and versatility as an actor. His work often celebrated the complexity of the tough guy, showing audiences that beneath the grit and violence, there could also be vulnerability, pain, and humanity. Beyond acting, Madsen was also a published poet and an accomplished photographer. His creative spirit extended beyond the screen, proving he was an artist who never stopped expressing himself in new ways. On July 3, 2025, Michael Madsen passed away at the age of 67. His death marked the end of a career filled with unforgettable performances and fearless roles. Yet his legacy continues. Every time audiences revisit Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill, or even Free Willy, they are reminded of the unique talent that set him apart. Michael Madsen will be remembered as one of Hollywood's most distinctive actors, a man who proved that sometimes it's not the hero you remember, but the unpredictable presence who makes every story unforgettable. Loretta Swit, born on November 4, 1937, in Passaic, New Jersey, became one of the most recognizable faces in television history. Best known for her unforgettable portrayal of Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan on the groundbreaking series M*A*S*H, Swit brought to life a character that blended toughness, vulnerability, humor, and heart. From 1972 to 1983, M*A*S*H held audiences around the world in its grip, not only for its comedy but also for its deep reflections on war, humanity, and compassion. As Major Houlihan, Swit stood out as a woman in command, balancing military authority with emotional depth. What began as a character often played for laughs grew, under Swit's skill, into one of the most complex and respected roles in television. For this, she earned 2 Emmy Awards, and the love of millions of viewers. But her career went far beyond a single role. Loretta Swit appeared in more than 25 movies and countless television productions, showcasing a range that few actors achieve. She could deliver biting comedic timing one moment, and then shift to dramatic intensity the next. Her performances carried truth and sincerity, whether she was playing in light-hearted films or tackling serious, emotional material. Off-screen, Swit was deeply admired for her compassion and advocacy. She was a passionate supporter of animal rights, using her platform to champion causes that mattered to her. In this way, she showed that her strength and kindness extended far beyond the screen. In 2025, Loretta Swit passed away at the age of 87. The news marked the end of an era for fans who grew up with M*A*S*H and those who discovered it later as one of television's most influential series. Her passing was felt deeply across Hollywood and by audiences worldwide, who remembered her not only as a star, but as a part of their own family through the characters she portrayed. Loretta Swit's legacy is one of versatility, resilience, and brilliance. She will always be remembered as the woman who transformed Hot Lips Houlihan into a character of depth and dignity, and as an actress whose work helped define the golden era of American television. Her performances remain timeless, a reminder that great acting not only entertains, but also connects us to our shared humanity. Chris G. Willingham, a master of the unseen art of storytelling, passed away in June 2025 at the age of 74. Though he worked behind the camera, his influence was felt in every frame, every cut, and every moment of television that held us captive. Willingham was a 3-time Emmy Award-winning editor, whose career spanned decades of groundbreaking television. His name might not have been known to every household, but his work most certainly was. He helped shape the pulse-pounding suspense of 24, the eerie atmosphere of The X-Files, and the dark, modern folklore of Grimm. In each of these shows, it was his hand at the editing desk that gave scenes their rhythm, their urgency, and their unforgettable impact. Editing is often called the invisible art. The best editors are the ones who disappear into the story, allowing the audience to feel, react, and engage without ever thinking about the mechanics behind it. Willingham excelled at this craft. He knew when to linger on an actor's expression, when to cut to silence, and when to accelerate the pace until viewers were literally holding their breath. Behind every chase sequence, every cliffhanger, and every shocking twist was Willingham's steady hand. Colleagues remembered him not only for his technical brilliance but also for his generosity and professionalism in the edit suite. Younger editors learned from his precision and his patience, while directors and producers relied on him to elevate their stories to new heights. Chris G. Willingham's passing is a reminder that some of television's greatest storytellers never appear on screen. His legacy lives on in the way modern TV thrills, surprises, and grips its audiences. Every tense moment in 24, every chilling pause in The X-Files, and every heartbeat of suspense in Grimm is a testament to his artistry. He leaves behind a body of work that shaped the very language of television editing. Though his name may not have been in the spotlight, his fingerprints are on some of the most memorable shows of our time. Chris G. Willingham will be remembered as a quiet giant of television, a man who gave us not just stories, but experiences that drew us closer to the edge of our seats, reminding us of the invisible magic that happens when a master editor weaves images into emotion. Brian Douglas Wilson, born on June 20, 1942, in Inglewood, California, was more than just a musician. He was the creative heart and visionary behind the Beach Boys, a band whose sound came to define an era. Known for his genius with harmony, melody, and production, Wilson transformed surf rock into something far greater, a new language of modern pop music. With his brothers Carl and Dennis, cousin Mike Love, and friend Ol Jardine, Brian helped form the Beach Boys in the early 1960s. Their early songs, Surfin' USA, I Get Around, and California Girls, captured the sunny optimism of California youth. But behind those catchy harmonies was Brian's deep musical imagination. While others saw surf rock as simple fun, Brian pushed the boundaries, layering intricate harmonies, experimenting with studio techniques, and writing lyrics that carried both joy and vulnerability. His masterpiece came in 1966 with the release of Pet Sounds. Though not an immediate commercial blockbuster, it became one of the most influential albums in music history. Songs like God Only Knows and Wouldn't It Be Nice revealed a depth of emotion and complexity rarely heard in pop music. Paul McCartney famously called Pet Sounds his favorite album of all time, saying it inspired the Beatles to create Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Brian's perfectionism in the studio was legendary. He pioneered techniques like multitrack recording, unconventional instruments, and lush vocal layering that would go on to define modern production. His single Good Vibrations was dubbed a pocket symphony, a song so ambitious, it took months to assemble in pieces before being stitched together into a groundbreaking hit. But behind the genius was also great struggle. Wilson battled with mental health challenges and substance abuse throughout his life. For years, his demons kept him away from the stage and the studio. Yet, even during those dark times, his music endured. And in the 2000s, he made a triumphant return, completing Smile, his long-lost project, to worldwide acclaim. On 2025, Brian Wilson passed away at the age of 82. The world lost not just a musician, but a true innovator who changed the sound of popular music forever. His influence stretches far beyond the Beach Boys. Every artist who experiments with harmony, every producer who treats the studio as an instrument, every songwriter who dares to bring vulnerability into pop owes something to Brian Wilson. He showed the world that pop music could be art, full of depth, emotion, and innovation. Brian Wilson will forever be remembered as one of the greatest composers of the 20th century, a man whose music gave voice to innocence, longing, and beauty. His harmonies live on, echoing through generations, a reminder that genius can turn even the simplest melody into timeless magic. His name is John Joseph Travolta. Born in 1954, he is one of the most recognizable and enduring stars in Hollywood history. For nearly 5 decades, his face, his dance, and his voice have been stitched into the very fabric of popular culture. Few stars can claim the kind of influence that Travolta has had. He wasn't just an actor, he was a movement. In the 1970s, when disco ruled the dance floor and rebellion fueled the spirit of youth, John Travolta became the face of a generation. His roles in Saturday Night Fever and Grease didn't just make him famous, they turned him into an icon. The white suit, the slicked back hair, the confident strut across the dance floor. John Travolta didn't just play characters. He captured the heartbeat of his time. He gave audiences someone to dream about, someone to cheer for, someone to dance alongside in their own living rooms. But Travolta's story is not one of easy stardom or simple fame. His life has been a roller coaster, filled with exhilarating highs and devastating lows, meteoric rises and heartbreaking falls. He has been both celebrated and dismissed, adored and forgotten, only to rise again and prove that resilience is his truest legacy. For every triumph, there has been struggle. For every glittering success, there has been unimaginable pain. And yet, through it all, John Travolta has endured. His journey is a testament to survival, to reinvention, and to the enduring power of art. Today, he remains with us, alive, resilient, and continuing to inspire. His name alone carries a history of film, music, and cultural revolutions. And his story, when told in full, is one of not just an actor, but of a man who found the strength to keep moving forward, even after the darkest nights. Before the fame, before the flashing lights of Hollywood, before the world knew his name, there was simply John, a boy with a dream. John Joseph Travolta was born on February 18, 1954, in Englewood, New Jersey. He was the youngest of 6 children, growing up in a lively, working-class Irish-American and Italian-American family. His father, Salvatore Travolta, was a semi-professional football player who later ran a tire repair shop. His mother, Helen Cecilia Burke, was a former actress, singer, and drama teacher. It was Helen who planted the seed of performance in her children. She loved the theater, and she passed that love on to John and his siblings. She encouraged creativity, supported music, and taught them the magic of storytelling. For John, that spark would become the guiding light of his life. Performing arts, a family of performers. In many ways, John was born into a family of entertainers. Several of his siblings pursued acting and performance, including Ellen Travolta, who appeared on television and stage. Growing up in such an environment, the idea of being on stage or in front of a camera wasn't just a fantasy, it was a possibility. John soaked it all in. He watched, he learned, he dreamed. By the time he was a teenager, he knew that his path would not be ordinary. He didn't want to follow the quiet life of his father's business. He wanted something more, something bigger. John's love for music and dance appeared early. He was fascinated by movement, rhythm, and the way dance could tell a story without words. At a time when other boys his age were focused on sports or academics, John was spending hours practicing dance moves and watching musicals. He admired performers like Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, legends who could act, sing, and dance with effortless charm. John wanted to be like them. He wanted to move an audience the way they did. By the time he was 16, Travolta made the bold decision to drop out of high school and pursue acting full-time. It was a risky choice, one that could have led to failure. But John was fearless, and he believed in his dream. Glowing star New York City, the first step. Armed with ambition and determination, John moved to New York City. The city was alive with opportunity, but it was also harsh and unforgiving. He studied acting, took small roles, and worked odd jobs to support himself. One of his earliest breaks came when he joined the touring company of the musical Grease. At the time, it was just another stage job. Little did he know that years later, that very story would become the defining film of his career. He also appeared in the Broadway show Over Here, sharing the stage with the Andrews Sisters. Each small step was a building block, each audition a chance to learn and grow. Television first television roles. Television opened its doors to John in the early 1970s. He appeared in commercials and made guest appearances on shows like Emergency and Medical Center. These were small roles, but for John, they were proof that he was moving closer to his dream. Then came his first big break, being cast as Vinnie Barbarino in the television series Welcome Back, Kotter in 1975. With his swagger, his charm, and his unforgettable catchphrases, John Travolta became a household name almost overnight. But before he became an international superstar, he was still just a young man from New Jersey, chasing a dream that most thought impossible, carrying with him the lessons of his family, and guided by the love of a mother who believed in his talent. The year was 1977, and the world was about to meet a character who would define an era. John Travolta, still only in his early 20s, had already won hearts as the swaggering Vinnie Barbarino on Welcome Back, Kotter. His charisma, his comedic timing, and his streetwise charm made him a favorite with television audiences. But television was just the beginning. That year, Travolta stepped into a role that would change not only his life but also the cultural landscape of America. Multiple musical notes. Saturday Night Fever, 1977. John Travolta was cast as Tony Manero, a young Brooklyn man who works a dead-end job but finds escape and identity on the disco dance floor. The film wasn't just about dancing, it was about youth, dreams, and the struggle for meaning in a working-class world. And Travolta, with his raw energy, vulnerability, and electrifying dance moves, brought Tony Manero to life with unforgettable intensity. Audiences were spellbound. They saw themselves in Tony, his frustrations, his desires, his search for something more. The iconic image of Travolta in a white suit, finger pointing upward under the disco ball, became one of the most recognizable visuals in cinematic history. The film was a phenomenon, grossing more than $200 million worldwide. The Bee Gees soundtrack became one of the best-selling albums of all time. And John Travolta earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, cementing his place as not just a star, but a serious actor. Dancer Grease, 1978. If Saturday Night Fever made him a star, Grease made him immortal. In 1978, John took on the role of Danny Zuko, the cool, leather jacket-wearing leader of the T-Birds. Paired with Olivia Newton-John's Sandy, Travolta lit up the screen with charm, humor, and sizzling chemistry. Songs like You're the One That I Want, Summer Nights, and Greased Lightning became instant classics. The film captured the spirit of youthful romance, rebellion, and nostalgia, and audiences around the globe flocked to see it. Grease went on to become one of the highest-grossing musicals of all time and remains a cultural touchstone decades later. To this day, schools, theaters, and fans continue to revive its songs and dances, proof of the film's timeless appeal. With Saturday Night Fever and Grease released back-to-back, John Travolta was no longer just an actor. He was a global phenomenon. His face was on posters, his moves imitated on dance floors, his songs played on radios everywhere. He had become the embodiment of cool, the working-class dreamer, the disco king, the romantic rebel. He was the voice and face of a generation that lived for music, dance, and freedom. But fame at such a young age can be both a blessing and a curse. Travolta was now one of the most famous men in the world, but the pressure to live up to that fame was immense. Hollywood quickly began typecasting him, and audiences expected him to always deliver the same magic. For now, though, Travolta was on top of the world. He had gone from a teenager in New Jersey with a dream, to a television star, to an international icon who defined an era with two films that remain legendary to this day. After the extraordinary heights of Saturday Night Fever and Grease, John Travolta stood at the very top of Hollywood. He was young, handsome, and talented, with the world at his feet. But fame, like the seasons, is never permanent. The 1980s would test him in ways he could never have imagined, bringing career missteps, personal struggles, and the cruel reality of Hollywood's shifting spotlight. Travolta's first major project after Grease was Moment by Moment, 1978, a romantic drama opposite Lily Tomlin. The film was a box office failure and received harsh reviews. For critics, it was proof that Travolta might not have been built to carry projects outside of musicals and dance. In 1980, he starred in Urban Cowboy, which, while moderately successful, never reached the cultural heights of his earlier films. It introduced the cowboy chic trend, and Travolta showed he could step outside disco, but the film wasn't enough to sustain his superstardom. The real damage came with subsequent projects like Two of a Kind, 1983, reuniting him with Olivia Newton-John but failing both critically and financially, and Perfect, 1985, a romantic drama set in the world of health clubs that became infamous for its critical backlash. Each flop chipped away at his reputation, and by the mid-1980s, the once unstoppable John Travolta had become a punchline in Hollywood circles. The 1980s were dominated by new kinds of stars. Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Harrison Ford were leading a wave of action heroes. Tom Cruise and others were emerging as the fresh faces of youth and rebellion. Travolta, once the poster boy for cool, seemed caught between eras. The disco craze that had propelled him to stardom had faded, and audiences weren't sure where to place him. He was too young to be nostalgic, too established to be the new face, and too closely tied to disco and musicals at a time when Hollywood was shifting toward blockbusters and gritty action. broken-heart personal struggles. As his career faltered, John also faced personal struggles. In 1977, at the very height of his fame, his girlfriend Diana Hyland, an actress he had fallen deeply in love with, died from breast cancer at just 41 years old. John was only 23. The loss devastated him, leaving an emotional scar that would stay with him for life. This tragedy, combined with the pressures of a declining career, took a toll. Travolta remained committed to acting, but the joy and confidence of his early years were weighed down by grief and the uncertainty of his place in Hollywood. Though his career seemed stalled, Travolta never disappeared completely. In 1989, he starred in Look Who's Talking, a light-hearted comedy about single parents, with Kirstie Alley. The film was a surprise box office hit, grossing nearly $300 million worldwide. For a moment, it seemed like Travolta had found his footing again. But the sequels, while financially decent, didn't have the same cultural impact. Hollywood still saw him as a fading star who couldn't fully reclaim the magic of the 1970s. By the early 1990s, John Travolta was no longer considered a bankable star. He was remembered fondly for his past roles, but to many, he was a relic of disco culture, a face of another time. In an industry that devours and discards talent quickly, it seemed as though John Travolta's time in the spotlight had come and gone. But destiny wasn't finished with him yet. The man who had once defined an era was about to stage one of the most remarkable comebacks in Hollywood history. By the early 1990s, John Travolta's career had cooled. The disco king of the 70s had been left behind by a new generation of stars. Studios saw him as a gamble, directors doubted his box office draw, and critics spoke of him in the past tense. But in Hollywood, all it takes is one role, one daring, unexpected role, to turn everything around. For John Travolta, that role was Vincent Vega in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Clap aboard a risky casting choice. In 1994, Quentin Tarantino, an ambitious young director, was preparing his second feature film. His script was unconventional, a mix of dark comedy, crime, and violence that jumped between timelines. For one of its central characters, Tarantino wanted John Travolta. It was a shocking choice. Travolta hadn't carried a major critical hit in years. But Tarantino saw something others didn't, a charisma, a coolness, and a humanity that could breathe life into the character of a hitman with surprising depth. And so, John Travolta, once dismissed by Hollywood, was cast in the role that would redefine his career. Explosion symbol Pulp Fiction, 1994. When the film premiered, it was nothing short of a cultural explosion. Travolta's performance as Vincent Vega was magnetic. He was slick, funny, unpredictable, and deeply human. The now iconic scenes, dancing with Uma Thurman in Jackrabbit Slims, discussing burgers in Europe, and delivering Tarantino's sharp dialogue with ease, became instant classics. Travolta wasn't just playing a character, he was reinventing himself. Audiences who remembered him from Saturday Night Fever and Grease saw him in a new light. Younger viewers who had written him off discovered him for the first time. Pulp Fiction won the Palme d'Or at Cannes, earned critical acclaim worldwide, and revitalized independent cinema. For Travolta, it brought something more, an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor. Glowing star, a career reborn. The success of Pulp Fiction reignited Hollywood's interest in John Travolta. Suddenly, the studios that had once overlooked him wanted him again. Offers poured in, and Travolta was once more at the center of major projects. In the years that followed, he starred in high-profile films like Get Shorty, 1995, winning a Golden Globe Award for his performance. Broken Arrow, 1996, proving he could command the action genre. Face Off, 1997, in which he and Nicolas Cage swapped identities, delivering one of the decade's most intense thrillers. Primary Colors, 1998, earning critical acclaim for his portrayal of a charismatic Southern politician. Travolta was everywhere again, on posters, on magazine covers, and in conversations about the greatest actors of the decade. What made his comeback so powerful wasn't just the films, it was the resilience behind them. Travolta had been written off, forgotten, even laughed at. Yet, he never gave up. With Pulp Fiction, he didn't just return, he redefined himself. He showed that he wasn't trapped in the disco era, that he could be edgy, complex, and relevant in a new Hollywood. It was one of the most dramatic comebacks in film history, and it reminded the world that true talent never really fades, it just waits for the right moment to shine again. After Pulp Fiction, John Travolta was no longer a relic of the disco age. He was back at the very center of Hollywood, commanding roles, winning awards, and showing the world just how versatile he truly was. This period of his career was not just about survival. It was about proving that he belonged in the pantheon of great actors capable of excelling in every genre, from comedy to drama, from action to musicals. Trophy awards and recognition. Travolta's performance in Get Shorty, 1995, won him the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture, Musical or Comedy. It was validation that his comeback wasn't just hype, it was backed by undeniable talent. He also received another Academy Award nomination for his work in Pulp Fiction and continued to earn critical acclaim in films like Primary Colors, 1998, where he portrayed a charismatic politician loosely based on Bill Clinton. His ability to embody charm, duplicity, and humanity in a single performance showcased the depth of his craft. By the late 1990s, John Travolta was a two-time Oscar nominee, a Golden Globe winner, and a proven box office draw. Beyond awards, Travolta thrived in the action genre. In Broken Arrow, 1996, he played a chilling villain, showing audiences that he could embody darkness as convincingly as he could charm. Then came Face Off, 1997, directed by John Woo, where he and Nicolas Cage swapped roles as FBI agent and terrorist. Travolta's performance was intense, emotional, and unforgettable, helping make the film one of the most iconic action movies of the 1990s. He continued his momentum with films like The General's Daughter, 1999, Swordfish, 2001, and Ladder 49, 2004, proving he could carry thrillers and dramas with equal conviction. Travolta also returned to the world of musicals in Hairspray, 2007, playing Edna Turnblad in full costume and makeup. The role was both comedic and heartfelt, showing once again his willingness to embrace transformation and take risks. The film was a commercial success and earned him praise for his boldness and charm. For audiences, it was a nostalgic reminder of the man who had once ruled the screen as Danny Zuko in Grease. Throughout this era, John Travolta wasn't just an actor, he was a cultural figure. His appearances at award shows, interviews, and his continued love for aviation, as a licensed pilot with his own fleet of planes, added to his unique legacy. He became a symbol of resilience, a man who had once been counted out, but who fought his way back into relevance and held his place with grace. Television and beyond. Travolta also proved his range on television. In 2016, he starred as Robert Shapiro in the People v. O.J. Simpson, American Crime Story. His performance earned him both an Emmy nomination and renewed critical respect. This role once again showed his ability to surprise, to dig deep into real-life figures, and to make audiences see him not as a relic of the past, but as a constantly evolving performer. By this stage of his career, John Travolta had achieved something rare. He had lived through the rise, the fall, and the rebirth, and still stood tall. Few actors in history have experienced such extremes and still managed to remain relevant, beloved, and respected. His body of work spanned musicals, dramas, thrillers, comedies, and even television. He had danced, he had fought, he had cried, and he had made audiences laugh. He had become a true Hollywood legend. Music cue, gentle piano, quiet and reflective, carrying both warmth and sorrow. Behind the glitz of Hollywood, John Travolta's true story has always been shaped by love. Love for his family, love for his passions, and love for life itself. But woven into that story are heartbreaks so deep that they could have broken even the strongest of spirits. Travolta's personal life is a testament to both the fragility of happiness and the power of resilience. At the height of his early fame in the 1970s, John found love with actress Diana Hyland, whom he met while filming The Boy in the Plastic Bubble in 1976. Though Diana was 18 years older than him, their bond was immediate and profound. John later described her as the first great love of his life. But tragedy struck quickly. In 1977, Diana died of breast cancer at just 41 years old. John, only 23, was by her side when she passed. The loss devastated him. At a time when his career was soaring, his personal world collapsed. It was the first of many painful reminders that fame cannot shield anyone from heartbreak. In 1991, John married actress Kelly Preston. Together, they built one of Hollywood's most admired marriages, filled with warmth, playfulness, and deep devotion. Kelly was John's partner in every sense, supporting him through highs and lows, celebrating his comebacks, and creating a family that became the center of his world. They had 3 children together: Jet, born 1992, Ella Blue, born 2000, and Benjamin, born 2010. Family life grounded Travolta, and he often said that his happiest role was not on screen but as a husband and father. In 2009, tragedy struck again. While on vacation in the Bahamas, John and Kelly's eldest son, Jet, suffered a seizure and died at just 16 years old. Jet had long battled health challenges, including autism and seizures. His passing was a devastating blow to the family. John later spoke of how the grief was overwhelming, how it shook his very will to live. But through the pain, he found strength in his family and in the support of those around him. He leaned on Kelly and Ella, and later welcomed Benjamin, who became a source of light in their darkest time. In 2020, after nearly 3 decades of marriage, John lost Kelly Preston to breast cancer. She had battled the illness privately, choosing to keep her struggle away from the public eye. When John announced her passing, the world was shocked. For John, it was another unimaginable heartbreak, losing not just his wife, but his best friend, his partner, and the mother of his children. He shared his grief openly, thanking doctors, nurses, and fans for their support. His words were filled not with bitterness, but with love and gratitude for the time they had shared. Despite such immense losses, John Travolta has continued to embody grace and resilience. He has spoken about grief as a journey, not a destination, a process of learning to live with loss rather than overcoming it. He has devoted himself to his children, ensuring they feel loved, supported, and inspired to live fully. He has also continued to honor Kelly and Jet through his words and actions, carrying their memories with him in every step of his journey. Airplane # passions beyond Hollywood. Outside of acting, Travolta has long pursued his love of aviation. A licensed pilot with multiple aircraft, he often found peace and freedom in the skies. Flying became both a passion and a form of healing, a place where he could escape the weight of grief and reconnect with his sense of wonder. What makes John Travolta's story extraordinary is not just his career, but his humanity. He has experienced joy and tragedy in equal measure. He has faced losses that would bring many to their knees, yet he has continued to stand, to love, and to give. His life reminds us that no matter how bright the spotlight, the human heart is always vulnerable. And yet, in that vulnerability lies the greatest strength. John Travolta's personal life has been marked by profound love and heartbreaking loss. In 1991, he married actress Kelly Preston, and together they built a strong, close-knit family. The couple had 3 children: Jet, Ella Blue, and Benjamin. Tragedy struck in 2009 when their eldest son, Jet, died at just 16 years old during a family vacation in the Bahamas. Jet had a history of seizures and was on the autism spectrum, which the family had discussed publicly. His sudden death from a seizure was devastating. Travolta later shared that losing Jet was the worst thing that's ever happened in his life, and it took years of healing through family support and faith. Kelly Preston's death. In 2020, heartbreak visited again when Kelly Preston passed away after a quiet 2-year battle with breast cancer. Her diagnosis had been kept private, and her death shocked fans and friends alike. Travolta posted a heartfelt tribute, honoring her strength, grace, and the deep love they shared over nearly 3 decades. Despite these unimaginable losses, Travolta has shown remarkable resilience. He has continued to raise his children, especially supporting his youngest, Benjamin, and daughter Ella, who has followed in his acting footsteps. He occasionally steps into the public eye but always emphasizes the importance of family and healing. Travolta's journey has made him a symbol of strength, balancing a high-profile career with deep personal pain, emerging with grace, gratitude, and enduring love for those he has lost. Today, John Travolta lives a quieter, more intentional life, one deeply rooted in family, creativity, and resilience. After decades in the spotlight and a series of personal tragedies that could have broken anyone, Travolta has emerged with a powerful sense of presence. He's still acting, still evolving, but more importantly, he's still here, still inspiring. He's been carefully choosing his projects, balancing action-packed roles in films like Cash Out and High Rollers, with surprising genre turns like the upcoming sci-fi horror Ed, and a romantic comedy called That's Amore, proving he hasn't lost his love for taking creative risks. But it's not just about work anymore. Travolta is focused on what truly matters, his family. His daughter, Ella Blue, is pursuing acting, and his son, Benjamin, continues to be his anchor and joy. He shares glimpses of their life together on social media, not for the spotlight, but to show that healing is possible. He recently surprised fans by showing up at a Grease sing-along dressed as Danny Zuko, a moment that wasn't just nostalgic, it was symbolic. A nod to where he came from, and how far he's come. John Travolta today is more than an actor, he's a symbol of perseverance. He's shown the world that even after unimaginable loss, life doesn't end, it transforms. And through his quiet strength, he continues to inspire. John Travolta's journey has never just been about fame or fortune. It's been about transformation. From the bright lights of Saturday Night Fever to the emotional depths of unimaginable personal loss. From dancing across screens in Grease, to standing tall through grief, fatherhood, and reinvention. He has shown us what it means to endure. To rise. To live, not just in the spotlight, but in the quiet moments where character is truly revealed. His legacy isn't just etched in film history. It's written in the hearts of generations who found joy in his music, meaning in his performances, and strength in his story. John Travolta is not just a star. He's a living legend. And his greatest role? Might just be the man he's become. Thank you, John. For the art, the heart, and the courage. If you found meaning in remembering these figures, please like this video, subscribe to Gone Legends, and share it with others so we all keep their memories alive.